Hi, and welcome back to another motivational moment with your coach, me, Michelle. You guys, for the time that is ours to share, I want to talk about being down but not out. Can I say that one more time? Being down but not out. 2 Corinthians 4 7 through 11 from the New King James Version talks about being cast down but unconquered. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellence of the power may be of God and not of us. We are hard pressed on every side, yet not crushed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Struck down, but not devastated. Always carrying about in the body the dying of the Lord Jesus, that the life of Jesus also may be manifested in our body. For we who live are always delivered to death for Jesus' sake, that the life of Jesus also may be manifested in our mortal flesh. When life knocks you down, you can either choose to bounce back fast or drown in your emotions and give up. If you struggle with coping with life's blows, you're not alone. We all encounter challenging times in our lives. I think we can all agree that you never know what life is going to throw at you. You don't. I don't know about you. That's why I pray. And when I get up every morning, I pray and say, Lord, thank you for waking me up this morning in my right mind with activity in my limbs. Father God, be with me as I go through this day. Let not the hand of the enemy touch me, oh God, or something similar to that. Because you just don't know what life is going to throw at you. Life is one big roller coaster ride. It's one big roller coaster ride of ups and downs, ins and outs. There will be times when you feel like you're on top of the world, while other times you may feel like you're at rock bottom. Most of us will sway on both ends of the continuum at some point in our lives. Playing with the unknown makes the journey through life equally exciting and terrifying. When bad things happen, it's natural to feel down. You may even fall into the trap of assuming that things will never get better, because we all have been down that road where it felt like things just would never get better. Unfortunately, this mindset is the very thing that keeps so many people stuck in the drowning victim mode. The wild ride that we call life is an endless string of highs and lows, successes, failures, setbacks, and comebacks. This is why it is so important that you destroy your resilience muscle. Now, before I jump into some steps that we're going to look at, I just also want to remind you, make sure you check out last Saturday's podcast, because I talk about how nothing catches God by surprise, which kind of lights the way to what I'm talking about today. So, number one, hold yourself accountable. It's easier to blame other people for your downfalls, isn't it? Because we all have done it, right? Very few times it really is somebody else's fault. So once you start to hold yourself accountable for the role that you play or that you've played in your downfall, then you can begin your healing process. Always admit the part that you played. Perfect example: when a relationship doesn't work out and you're listening to your BFF, and they're telling you, well, she did this and she did that, she did the other, or he did this, he did that, he did the other. This is what I do. I sit back and I listen and I smile. You all can't see my hands are clasped like this, but I do. I let them rest on my stomach because I'm working on getting it down. And I just smile and I nod, because I want you to understand that I do understand what you're saying. I do all of that. And then when you're done, I say, okay, now you told me what he or she did. What did you do? And they always go, huh? And my reply is, if you can you can hear. What did you do? See, we like to always point out what the other person did, but we don't talk about what we did. So, yeah, that person stepped out and cheated. But what you're not telling me is how you drove that person to want to step out of that relationship. You tell people how that person left you for somebody else, but you're not telling them that they left because you just were not there for them mentally. Oh, you could be there for them physically, but mentally you weren't there. You didn't support them. You treated them like crap, but you don't tell that story. Oh, no, 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 no. You don't tell that story. You're going to tell what they did. So my takeaway from all of that is this. There's two sides to every story. Technically, there's three. There's your side, there's their side, and then there's truth in the middle. But when you're going to tell a story, tell the whole story. See, I can look back over my life when things didn't work out, not necessarily in a relationship, but just in general. And you can say, oh, well, they did this to me and they did that to me. But then I have to look back and say, Michelle, but what did you do? What is it that you didn't do that could have kept you in that situation? Because you play a part. Now, whether or not you're bold enough, excuse me, I have hair on my lip. Whether or not you're bold enough to admit what you did, that's something different. But you played your part. Number 2, change your focus. Stop looking at what is now behind you and what happened to you, other than to learn something from it. Focus is still to come. Focus on what is still to come. Okay, hold on, y'all. Focus on what is still to come. You can't fix what has happened, but you can learn from it and alter your future just a little bit. When you accept this, everything will change. Always remember, what you focus on is what you will gravitate towards. By changing your focus and looking forward to getting back in the game and focusing on the next step in life, you will instantly see your breakthrough. So when you start to feel knocked down, ask yourself, what is your focus right now? Check to see if you're focusing on what you don't want or what you want. Are you seeing the opportunities or only the obstacles? The answer to these questions will help you get clarity, create awareness, and elevate you to where you need to be. Okay? And your takeaway and all of that is simply this. You've got to stop focusing on what was. Now, I'm not saying to just totally wipe it out of your mind. See, because when we completely forget about our past, we're doomed to repeat it. That's what I've always been told. So I'm not saying that you just completely forget about it, but you don't pour all your focus onto it. You don't pour all your focus on how you used to be. You learn from that, and then you move towards becoming a better person. Because I know that we all can become better people. And let me tell you something. I'm going to say this and I'm going to move on. It doesn't matter where you are in your life. We can all stand to become better people. Number 3, change how you speak to yourself. Take a minute or two and listen to your inner voice and decide if you need to change it. And decide if you need to change the dialogue. If you aren't careful, you will be the one that's dragging you down. Setbacks are going to come, but how you deal with them will make all the difference. You can choose to beat yourself up over your setback, or you can learn from it and grow. Honey, let me tell you something. The older that I've gotten, I don't beat myself up over setbacks. I truly do not. I sit back and say, all right, Lord, what is it that you need me to learn from this? I can acknowledge the part I played in it. And then from there, I'm moving on. You know why? Because whatever has happened, it's happened. It's done. It's over with. Nothing I can do about that. All you can do is learn from it, change, and then move on to become a better person. But what I'm not going to do is sit and beat myself down. Oh, Michelle, you should have did this. You're so stupid. No, I'm not doing that. Not doing that at all, because I know I'm bigger than that. Plus, it's getting me nowhere. Just like, and this I love, just like where we choose to place our focus, the language we use is also something we have full control over if we take a moment to connect with the right power. Simply put, we are nothing but the stories we tell ourselves on a regular basis. So what story are you telling yourself? And that's a good question. I don't need you to respond, but I want you to really think about that thing. What stories are you telling yourself about yourself? What stories are you telling yourself? Are they stories to elevate you? Are they stories to lift you up? Or are they stories that just continuously beat you down? See, because I don't do negativity. Negativity does not live in my space. I'm not having it. I don't want it around me. I don't want it shared with me. And I'm not going to share it with myself. So think about the stories that you were telling yourself. And oh, that was it. So I'm sorry, I only had three things. So let me do a quick recap and then I promise I will let you be. So today our topic was about being down but not out. And I'm going to tell you something else before I go and do my recap. This is where peace comes into play. When you are down but you're not out, honey, that's nothing but the peace of God. See, because your whole world, and I've known people where their whole world was just falling down around them, but you would never know unless they told you, because they still smiled, they still went about blessing other folks, serving God's people, doing everything that they were doing before. But when they go home, they have to deal with the fact that their world is just falling down around them. And that's nothing but peace. So I talked about being down but not out, and I shared the scripture from 2 Corinthians 4:7-11, with the overarching theme of cast down but unconquered. And so I gave you three things to think about. Number one, I said hold yourself accountable. You have got to hold yourself accountable for the part that you play anytime you experience a downfall. Doesn't matter how big, small, or in between it is. You played, what's that? Oh, excuse me. You played a part in it. You're not just this innocent, because we all like to do that. I just don't understand why they did that. I didn't do anything. Oh yeah, you did. You did. And so you have to hold yourself accountable, because we always like to blame other people, and sometimes it's not their fault at all. It's yours. Number two, now let me say this: it's not their fault, it's yours. But the thing is that you don't want to accept the part that you play, so it's easier to point the blame at somebody else. Number two, you have to change your focus. So you have to stop looking at what is now behind you and start focusing on where you are. See, whatever I did yesterday, whatever I did last week, last month, last year, and God forbid, a few seconds ago, that's in the past. Anything that I've already said and done, it's in the past. I can't change it. Do you understand what I'm saying? I cannot change it. Now, I can apologize for it, but I can't change it. So the best thing that I can do for me is to change who I am and become a better person. Because stressing over, focusing on what I did in the past, honey, that's not going to help anybody. The only purpose it's going to serve is to drive me absolutely crazy. So when you start to feel knocked down, ask yourself, what is your focus right now? Okay, you told me what happened last year, but where's your focus right this moment? Where is that? Because when you tell me what your focus is at this particular moment, that's going to tell me a whole lot about whether or not you're going to have a hard time or an easy time trying to keep moving forward. So focus on the right here and right now. And you know what? I'm going to say this and I'm going to move on. That's another reason why a lot of times people have a hard time moving on to new relationships. Did y'all know that? Because you spend so much time focusing on all the people that hurt you in your past, that you can't accept that this person that's standing before you really wants to make you happy, to be everything that you could ever want and then some. But you have these blinders on and you can't see it because you keep focusing on what the last relationship was like, or the one before that, or the one before that, or the one before that. Focus on the here and now. And then number three, I said change how you speak to yourself. First of all, never should you allow anybody to talk down to you. So why in the world would you allow yourself to do it to you? That just never ceases to amaze me. I'm not going to let you talk down to me, so why would I do it to myself? What am I getting out of that? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So why do you do it? Some of you all really need to change the way you talk to yourself. I'm never going to walk around and say, Michelle, you know what, you are so stupid. I may say, now that was dumb. That was stupid. But I'm not going to say I am. Because I'm a human being and I make mistakes just like everybody else. But I'm not going to sit and badmouth myself. I've heard people say, oh, This is your problem in life. You can't do anything right. Everything you touch, you just mess up. Let me hear you say that. Let me hear you say that, and I promise it's going to be a problem because I can't stand that. Don't do that in my presence. Please don't do that in my presence, okay? Whew, because that gets under my skin. So if you aren't careful, you'll be the one that's dragging you down. Not other people, not your setback, but you. So, and I shared with you the we. I love that whole we piece. Just like where we choose to place our focus, the language that we use is also something that we have full control over. And if we take a moment to connect with the right power, simply put, we are nothing but the stories that we tell ourselves. So what story are you telling yourself? I want you to leave this video asking yourself, thinking about what stories you are telling yourself. So you guys, that's all I have. I want to say thank you so much to my new subscribers. Thank you so much to those of you that continue to support me in all that I do. I could not do what I do without each and every one of you. So I am so thankful to have you a part of my little world here. And as always, if there is a topic that you would like for me to talk about, please never feel free. Never feel free. Please always feel free to reach out and say, hey, Michelle, you know what? Could you possibly talk about ABCXYZ? And let's see how we can make that happen for you. Now, there's some things that I'm just not going to talk about, and I have shared that before with folks. This is not a sex show, so I will not, because I've had that question come up about talking about that, and that's just not my area of expertise, so I will not be talking about that. Sorry. But if you have other topics, other motivational topics that you think would benefit other people as well as yourself, please always, feel free to reach out and let's have a conversation about it. So as I close, no, I'm sorry, did I say I love each and every one of you to the moon and back? You know the drill. You know my spiel. There's nothing you can do about it. Absolutely nothing at all. I'm going to love you no matter what. And you can take that to the bank, because that's real and that's everlasting. So, as I close, be the reason that someone feels welcomed, seen, heard, valued, loved, and supported. Not just today, not just this week, not just the rest of this month, but every day. I need you to feel that way. This is my mantra every single day. Every day I wake up and I say, Lord, let me be the reason that somebody feels welcome, somebody feels seen, somebody feels heard, somebody feels valued, loved, and supported. Until our next motivational moment, take care.